Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this video, we will start creating this to-do list application using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So this is how it works. We can see that we have these tasks over here, and we can add new tasks by using this input field over here. So if I just type create a presentation, and if I press enter, we can see that the task is added over here. You can also click on this add button to add the task over here. And then we have this button on the left side for indicating that the task has been completed. So right now we can see that this task is completed, so we can just click on it. And we have this different styling for the completed tasks. So we can click on any of these tasks to complete it. And we can also delete these tasks from here. So if I just click on this close icon over here, we can see that the current task is deleted. So in this way you can delete all these tasks. And if we don't have any task, then we can see that we have this message displayed over here called no tasks to display. Let me go ahead and add a new task. So I'll just tap create a presentation. And now if I refresh this page, we can see that the task is still over here. That's because these tasks are stored inside local storage of the browser. So even if you refresh this page, the task still remains. And if I complete this task and if I just refresh this page, we can see that the state still remains. And if I remove this task and if I refresh this page, we can see that we don't have any tasks. So this is what we're going to design in this tutorial series. Now in this first video, I'll just show you how to design the UI using HTML and CSS. And then in the next video, I'll show you how to add the JavaScript to add the functionality. So let's get started. Right here I have created this folder called to-do app, and I just opened it with VS Code. Now let's create the necessary files. So let's click on new file and let's create an HTML file. I'll just name it index.html. And let's create a CSS file. I'll just name it style.css. And let's create a JavaScript file. I'll just name it main.js. Let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code you can just press exclamation and press tab and you'll have this basic HTML5 code. And let's link our CSS file over here. So just type style.css. And here in the body I'll just link the JavaScript file. So I'll just type main.js. Right now let's start with the markup of our design. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division. So let's give it a class of to-do container. Now in this container division, the first thing we need to have is this heading. So I'll just create an h1 for that. And I'll just type to-do list. And after that we need to have these two elements. We need to have the input field and also this button. So for that, let's create a division and let's give it a class of controls. And in that we will have the input field, and let's give it a type of text. And let's add a placeholder and let's type enter task. And then we need to have a button. So for the button, let's create a button tag. And we'll also give it a class. And let's give it a class of add button. And in the button, I'll just add this text of add. And now let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you have this extension installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on Open with Live Server. And we can see that our elements are displayed in the browser. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display all the tasks. So I'll just create a task over here. And we need to create this icon over here, and then we need to have the task title, and then we need to have this remove button. So let's go back. And here let's create a division with the class of tasks list. Now in this we will have different tasks. So for each of the tasks, I'll just create a division with the class of task. And in this task division, we need to have three elements. One is this button. So for the button, I'll just create a button tag and let's give it a class of complete button. And in this we need to have the SVG for this icon. So I'll just use heroicons.com for that. Right here I'm in heroicons.com and let's search for circle. And here we have this icon right here. So I'll just click on copy SVG and let's paste it over here. Right, that's it with the complete button. And then we need to have the actual task title. So here let's create a division and let's give it a class of task title. And here let's add some text for the task. So I'll just tap send an email. And now we can see we have the task displayed over here, and we also have this button. And the icon is not being displayed over here, but we will fix that using CSS. And the next thing we need to have is this remove button. So for that we'll create a button, and let's give it a class of remove button. And here just type plus, and here we can see we have the remove button. Now we just need to rotate it a little bit so that it looks like this. Right, I think that's it with the HTML of our design. Now let's go to our CSS and let's style it. So here in the style.css file, first of all let's go ahead and target the body, and let's set the font family, and let's set it to Inter and sans serif. And we also need to get the link of the fonts from Google Fonts, and let's also set the color of all the text to 023047. And for the heading we'll also use a font called Poppins. So let's get these two fonts from Google Fonts. Right, here I'm in fonts.google.com, and let's search for Inter. And let's select this font, and we need to select the styles. So we need to have the regular style. So I'll just click on regular 400, and let's click on select regular 400. And we also need to have the Poppins font. So let's go back and let's search for Poppins. And let's click on this font, and we need to select the bold version. So I'll just select this semi-bold 600. And now let's click on this button called View Selected Families. And let's scroll down and let's copy this link from here. And let's go back to our HTML and let's paste it over here in the head section. Right, now let's go back to our CSS file and let's continue styling this. Right, now let's style the container division, which is this division with the class of to-do container. So I'll just type to-do container, and we will give it a padding of 0 top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And let's set a max width of 800 pixels, and let's set the margin to 0 auto so that it is in the center. And now we can see that our element is in the center, so I'll just add a background color so we can see it clearly. So now we can see that our to-do container is in the center. Right, now let's style the h1. So I'll just type to-do container h1, and let's set the font size to 32 pixels, and let's set the font family to Poppins and sans serif. And I think this is not the correct font weight, so let's go back to our font link, and here for the weights I'll just change this to, let's try 700, and I think that looks alright. Right, now let's style these two elements which are in the controls division. So let's target that. I'll just type controls, and let's set the display to flex, and let's add a gap of 8 pixels between the elements, and let's tap justify content space between so that the elements are on the extreme left and on the extreme right side. Right, now let's target this input field and let's give it a width of 100%. So let's tap controls, input, and let's set the width to 100%. And now let's add a padding, and let's set the padding to 8 pixels top and bottom and 16 pixels left and right. And let's set the font size of the input field to 16 pixels, and we'll just set the border of the input to 1 pixel solid DDD. So here we have the input field. Now when we click on this, we have this blue outline. So I'll just change this to a different outline. So for that, let's go ahead and type controls, input colon focus, and let's set the outline to 1 pixel solid, and let's set the color to 023047. And now we can see we have the correct color for the focus. Right, now let's style this add button. So for the add button, we have this button with the class of add btn. So let's tap controls, add btn, and let's set a padding of 32 pixels, and let's set the font size to 16 pixels, and let's set the background color to 023047, and let's set the color of the text to white, and we'll also remove the border, and let's set the cursor to pointer. So I'll just type cursor pointer, and now when we hover over this, we have this pointer. So the controls division is completely styled. Right, now let's style the task division. So let's type task, because if we go to the HTML file, here we can see that we have this division with the class of task, and we want all these elements to be one next to the other. So let's set the display to flex, and let's set a gap of 12 pixels. And now let's add a background color. So I'll just have background, and let's set the background color to EDF6F9. Right, now let's add some margin. So I'll just tap margin, and let's set it to 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And we'll also add some padding for the task list division. So here we can see we have this division with a class of tasks list. So I'll just target that. Here I'll just type tasks list, and for this one, let's give it a padding, and let's set it to 24 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And I think that looks alright. Right, now let's go ahead and continue styling this. So let's add a padding, and let's set the padding to 8 pixels top and bottom, and 24 pixels left and right. And now let's type justify content space between, and now we need to have the maximum width for this task title. So let's target this. So you can just type task, and for the task title we have this division with a class of task title. So let's type task title, and let's set the flex to 1, so it will have the full width. And now we can see that it takes up the maximum amount of width. And let's also center everything vertically. So here let's type align items to the center, and for the text I'll just set a line height of 1.8. Right, now let's style the complete button right here. So for that we have this button with a class of complete btn. So let's target that. I'll just tap task complete btn, and let's set the border to none, and we need to set a width for the svg inside this complete btn. So here we can see we have this svg inside this button. So let's target that. So I'll just tap task complete btn svg, and let's set the width to 20 pixels. Now we can see that the icon is being displayed, and here let's set a background color of transparent. Now this icon is not exactly in the center, so if I just change this to red color, now we can see that the icon is on the top of this division. So for that we have to set the display to flex, and now we can see that it is exactly in the center. So I'll just go ahead and change this back to transparent, and now let's set the cursor to pointer. So this button is tiled. Now let's style this remove button over here. So for that we have this button with a class of remove btn. So here I'll just type task remove btn, and first of all let's set the border to none, and let's set a background color of transparent for this as well, and let's set the font size to 30 pixels, and let's set the color of the text to red, and let's set the cursor to pointer. And then we also need to rotate this. So I'll just tap rotate, and let's set the value to 45 degrees. And now we can see we have this remove button. And I think with that we have completed designing this UI. So I'll just add a couple more tasks. So let's see whether the styling is correct. So I'll just copy this and paste it 2 more times. And we can see that everything looks alright. So that's basically it with the UI of our app. In the next video, I'll show you how to add JavaScript to add the functionality of this to-do app. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.